Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps lots. And also keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are after market close on Monday, February 28th. We're going to take a look at SoFi. Now, SoFi, as you probably know, has earnings coming up. Like I said, today is Monday, the 28th of Feb. Tomorrow is Tuesday, March 1st. After market close at 5 p.m., there will be this earnings conference call. If history tells us anything, that will create some strong volatility in old SoFi. And, we had one up and one down. So the earnings, 2 earnings ago, its first earnings as a publicly traded company, pretty sizable gap down, and then the inverse of that in last earnings, where we had a decent gap up, which then, of course, as you know by now, got filled back down, and the struggle has continued with the overall market selling off as well. So, a few sort of macro things that I'm still focused on, of course, outside of earnings, and then I'll talk a little bit about earnings. But of course, like the geopolitical stuff is obviously driving markets kind of batty, and to a strong degree, SoFi is getting dragged around with that. And so it's not having a ton of capabilities of acting like its own stock, in my opinion, though that may change, even if only temporarily, based on earnings, unless something really crazy happens. And then, coming up, I know that there's been all the concern around inflation and rate hikes, and that also putting some pressure on the market. I actually think that the tapering that's coming is potentially going to be more problematic for bulls in the coming months. That's yet to be seen, but we'll see how that goes. Now, from a chart perspective, and then, like I said, I'll talk quickly about the earnings stuff. So from a chart perspective, we broke out of this downtrend back here, and then fell right back down to it, which isn't an uncommon thing, but of course for bulls is unfortunate. Now, the somewhat fortunate thing is, even though these candles closed below that downward trend line, it was able to throw in this really nice hammer, and has been recovering ever since then. Now we have a little bit of a wicking top on today's candle, so we'll see how the forward-looking pressure is tomorrow going into earnings and whatnot. Could be kind of like a crazy-ish first half of the day or so, and then it might get a little bit like extra snoozy, like even more boring than the normal like lunchtime toward power hour time frame. And then we might see something pick up strongly in one direction or another the last 20 minutes or so. But of course, I expect the real maneuvering to be done once the earnings come out, which will in all likelihood be a bit before 5 o'clock. Sometimes they come right at 4:01, whatever. Sometimes it lags a little bit and it's 4:10, 4:20, what have you. But we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Now, if we do get a nice run up, I'd look for it to try to break this downward trend line, which should give us a push really close to 12, basically attempting that 12 resistance. And if it comes down to the downside, my hope would be, though, it depends how strong the reaction is. I mean, at this point, if it's a 10% drop, that's only like $1.14, $1.15. So, but my hope is that even if there is a strong gap down, I really hope that it can hold the 10s. I was obviously pretty concerned here on these days when it was treating like 1050 as some pretty strong resistance. Today it was able to overcome that, so I'm hoping that that can continue to be the case, and that, like I said, if all else fails, it holds 10, Would be great if it holds 1050, since that was just very recently really strong resistance. But of course, I'm hoping that we do gap up, and we'll see. Well, yeah, we'll just have to see. But my first thing would be breaking this resistance level and making an attempt at 12. For earnings itself, what I'm looking at are a few things. I know that I've complained before, though I don't know that a lot of people share this sentiment with me, which is fine. I wish that they would sort of go stronger, trying to capture many, many more members. I think that that really amplifies awareness. It amplifies these sort of network effects and the cross-selling that they purport to be such a strong sort of mover of future earnings and capture. And so I would wish that we would see even a stronger uptick. I know people say, it's been X percent year over year, whatever. But I think that their overall membership numbers still being what it is, I still feel like it pales in comparison to a lot of other, even just fintech growth stocks. So I don't expect that to change. I don't think that that's sort of part of their ethos or their hypothesis of how this plays out, but I can hope. Now, on the other side, of course, I hope that just the top line earnings is strong and can exceed expectations. And then the really, really big thing that I'm looking for is the guidance. As we've seen, if a company is still losing money, even if they exceed expectations, they can get bludgeoned in this current environment. What I think could help sort of buffer SoFi from that potential outcome, even if they do have what folks would consider to be a good earnings report, I would hope that the guidance based on the bank charter and this recent acquisition that they made, and probably still like the expansion and expansiveness of Galileo, these things, I think that there's still maybe some trigger happening in student loan repayments. I don't know, but I think that that's potentially back on the table at some point this year. So I'm hoping that the confluence of all of these things really, really go a long way to raise guidance and put SoFi in a really strong position there, and help keep it from, if there is a negative reaction to earnings, whether that's because they actually missed the earnings, which that would be, to me, really, really potentially catastrophic if they actually missed the earnings. But even if, like I said, they do beat it, but folks still see that maybe they're losing money because they're reinvesting so much of it, and they're like, too risky. Any company that's not, showing a profitable EPS at this point, is too risky for me, and we need to flee the burning building. I'm hoping that any guidance can offset, or strong guidance can offset any sort of leaning in that direction that the masses might have in reaction to what plays out with earnings. But that's my 2 cents. I hope you all are staying strong out there, and I appreciate you watching. We could chalk this up as one of the more awkward ends to a video. You can tell I'm getting rusty from sitting on the sidelines too frequently these days. All right, folks, I do appreciate you watching, and good luck tomorrow. I will see you in the next video.